we got a young investor here who has a great portfolio to talk to. So how old are you, Hunter?
26 years old.
26 years old. Young buck, but killing it in investing. So let's get right into like, what's your portfolio in investing?
So currently I own 10 rental properties and I've done 4 flips in the last year.
So 10 rental properties, 4 flips, and you're 26 years old. That's super impressive. And you've been a realtor for a year, right?
Yep.
With
It's been a year now.
So happy work anniversary.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's been great.
And let's get right into the flips. So what kind of success have you seen with your flips in the 4 you did this year?
Sure. So we've had great success. 3 out of 4 of them have been over 6-digit profits. And
Nice.
the one that was not was a mobile home, which was a lower barrier to entrance to get that deal and to do it. But it was a great start to really get into it. And great opportunity.
Yeah, that's really impressive because mobile homes can be great because they're not only lower price, but I've worked with investors to buy mobile homes because they like the predictability of the remodel, because with a manufactured home, it's a lot easier to predict.
Yeah, they're pretty basic.
Yeah, what the repairs are going to be. And as opposed to, let's say, like a 1910 Craftsman, you're getting into it. There's a lot more kind of unknowns.
Sure.
So you've had success with mobile homes and stick built.
Yep.
On all 4, you've done really well. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Let's get right into if you're an investor or just getting going, how are you finding these deals? Because that's a lot of success and people really feel like you can't find those kind of deals in this market.
Yeah. So some of the first deals I found were from just talking to everybody, telling them I was looking for something to buy for an investment property. Mm-hmm. And that was the first way, just by word of mouth. I was talking to someone I didn't know, and he ended up having a house he wanted to sell to me. And then other ways have been through driving around and looking at houses that were beat up and writing them notes or different things to talk to them, see if they want to sell their house.
So you're literally just, what about the MLS? You said the MLS as well?
I've also bought a couple deals on the MLS and they've been just as good. Okay,
so that's a good reminder I wanted to point out. You can find deals on the MLS.
Yeah, and finding deals on the MLS, the real important part is finding a good agent who's willing to find those deals for you and make offers that you're wanting to make. You'll find agents that say, oh, they're not going to take that offer, that won't be good enough. But it never hurts to make an offer, and an offer that you're comfortable with making, that you can make work for your numbers.
Well, that's a good point, because a lot of realtors, quite frankly, don't really like working with investors because it's more work, because they do have to write more offers.
Sure.
And that's more work for them and get turned down. But you're right. If you put the extra effort into trying to find the deals, making the offers, because you never know. Sometimes people do get motivated, especially if it was overpriced to start and then it starts to get reduced and it's a fixer home. Sometimes they do take offers that you wouldn't expect right off the MLS, even in a hot market.
Yeah, and I've even made money off competing with people on the MLS. I think there was 5 or 6 offers on the last deal I bought, and I still made great money on it, beating out those offers. Right.
Okay. So it was priced right. That's good. And then let's get into how you're finding the off-market deals.
Sure.
Because people don't even know how to. I mean, are you writing letters or what are you?
Yeah, so like I kind of was saying, I drive around and I look for houses that are beat up. They might have tarps on the roof or the lawn's overgrown or whatever it may be. I'll write down the address and then I'll go home. And a lot of times I leave a note on their door, but if I don't feel like getting out, I'll just go home and search their address and figure out who owns the house. And then I can find their phone number and give them a call.
So you're not going on like Zillow and looking at like some foreclosed or, because you see these lists where people think that there's foreclosed homes that they could find on Zillow or on HUD Homes and stuff like that. A lot of that is kind of junk.
Yeah, I've never had luck with that ever.
Yeah, and so you're literally just driving by fixer homes.
Yeah, they call it driving for dollars, basically.
Okay.
Is what they call it. You're driving looking for deals.
So you just drive and look for fixers, and then you're mailing or calling. And you talked about how you make the phone calls.
Yeah, there's a website I use called True People Search, and basically you type in an address or a name, and then it will give you that person, like a list of phone numbers that person's been associated with. And sometimes you kind of have to go through them and just keep calling and trying to get hold of someone.
That's True People Search, and that's free.
Yep, it's free.
So you call, you write them a note, you do both.
Yep.
What's the conversion rate as far as how many times you have to call people before you're actually getting responses?
Yeah, so it's not great, but you have to put in a lot of work.
Hustle.
Yep, you have to be willing to make a lot of phone calls, and you have to get over the fear of calling people and getting rejected, because there is success.
Right.
And the success is great. So you just got to be willing to put in that work.
So would you say 1 out of every how many before you, like so far?
Maybe like 1 out of 10 will actually answer or get back to you if you leave them a message.
How many are just telling you to go take a hike?
Most of them. So
Okay.
that's most of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But so you have to deal with that a little bit too.
Yeah.
And then but so 1 out of 10 will respond.
We'll respond, and then maybe 1 out of 50 might be interested in meeting up and talking about.
So that sounds like really kind of any kind of prospecting, any kind of sales
just like
business,
else.
really. So 1 out of 10 will respond.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're saying out of somebody who responds and is willing to talk, maybe 1 out of 5 of those will take an appointment with you, and you might actually be able to write them an offer.
Yep.
So, okay. So you're doing that. You're driving for dollars and checking the MLS.
Yep.
Financing, because let's talk about financing, because people, they see these infomercials, books that are how to buy houses with zero down, how to flip houses, how to make money with no money. It is possible, right?
Yeah.
But, and how have you done it with 4 flips and 10 investments at 26 years old?
Yeah, so I've used kind of a few different ways to buy properties. I actually never really used traditional financing because it's really hard to get a loan on a fixer with traditional financing.
Sure.
So I've used owner financing before, which is where the owner, if they own the house outright, they can carry the note, and basically you make payments to them.
But if for owner financing, they do have to either own it outright. Usually,
there's a couple ways around it, but I've only done it if they own it outright.
So if they tell you they own it outright, you could look into owner financing with them.
Sure.
Or if they just own very little and you're going to essentially pay that off.
Sure. Yep.
The
most common way I get financing is through hard money or private lenders.
Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about what hard money is, who these private lenders are, and how you're doing that.
Yeah, so I use a couple different hard money lenders that are in Washington State. They're people who basically pool money from other investors who just want to lend their money to people who want to flip homes or buy rentals at a high interest rate.
Sure.
So they just get their return over a short period of time.
Are they heavy on the fees or just on the upfront fees, or is it mainly
it really
just
depends who you use.
Sure,
I mean, there's so many different ones. The easier ones to use, sometimes they have more fees.
Yeah.
And then the ones who are cheaper to use tend to want a little bit more from you, like
upfront.
Yeah, and appraisals and lots of different things like that.
Right. So you're bringing them, you're going to them and saying, I have a deal. And then if it's a good enough deal, you could essentially have zero down, right?
Yeah. So they want to find a good deal. If they know the deal's good enough, I mean, if you default, they basically get that property.
Right.
Because they bought it. So as long as they know they can make money if you were to default on it.
Right.
But yeah, basically you find a property, you do your research saying, hey, this is how much I need to put into it. Maybe you bring a contractor with you and you write that down for them. And then you say, this is how much it's going to get. And as long as those numbers work and there's a good enough profit, then they're willing to loan you money. Okay.
And then you told me before that the best lenders that are easiest to work with, it's about 15% down. And that's actually less than I thought. I've always in the past told people that, 25% down. But that's really still talking more the conventional portfolio type loans. But you have a hard money lender that with 15% down will actually make it pretty easy, right?
Yeah. So my favorite hard money lender I use here in Washington State, they're out of Seattle or Bellevue. They're 15% down and they're strict to that. Other ones will work. I've done one with 10% down, but they take a little bit more work to do that.
Okay.